Good morning, writers. We're here at the end of 2016, and with the new year coming around the corner, it is the perfect opportunity to get some writing done, if you haven't already. New Year's resolutions are just around the corner, and some of you might be saying, like I've done for the past 3 years, I want to be writing more. I may not be able to help you with that, but we can at least talk about how to write a little bit better. So as we slowly start to figure out that we have to put a 7 at the end of the year, I'm going to start with our analysis of the 7 basic plots. That actually worked out. I wasn't expecting that. Last time we talked generally about why plot was important, but now we're going to get into the specifics. What are the 7 basic plots, and why are they important? And so we start with the first, and perhaps most ubiquitous of the basic plots, overcoming the monster. Overcoming the monster. This is a plot structure that is old. A lot of ancient legends and mythology uses this kind of plot structure, as do a lot of modern media. From Beowulf, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the story of Hercules, monsters and the heroes that overcome them are a central point of how we tell stories. The overcoming the monster plot is the most basic form that can take. There is a monster, and it must be defeated by a hero. And so the basic structure of the overcoming the monster plot is very simple to understand because you're already very familiar with it. Almost every superhero story uses this plotline, as does a lot of serialized animes and action films. The basic idea is very universal for storytelling because it is quite possibly the easiest way to create conflict. You have an overwhelming force of destruction that is necessarily causing trouble, and therefore you have a hero who tries to stop it, usually with physical force. So let's be a little bit more specific. Take Batman and his arch-nemesis Joker. In almost every situation where this appears, you have the Joker, who is this force of chaos and destruction, who is destroying the city of Gotham. And you have an established hero, Batman, who very quickly learns about the Joker's doings and does his best to stop him. The Joker usually starts with the upper hand by poisoning the water supply, or taking hostages, or holding a dangerous weapon over Batman's head and threatening to destroy Gotham with it should Batman not comply with these very specific demands. Of course, Batman opposes the Joker and tries his best to foil his plots, usually ending up in a final confrontation between the Joker and whatever concoction he's planning to defeat the Batman and destroy the city, usually in the same stroke. At every point in the story, there's a sense that Gotham City is in danger and Batman himself could lose his life at any moment. But Batman perseveres anyways because he has to stop the Joker in order to save the city. And so it's this perseverance against danger as the hero struggles against this monster that is at the heart of this plotline. Something, a person, a place, or something really important is threatened by this monster, and the hero does everything he can to prevent that thing from coming to harm. And it inevitably results in this clash between this monster and this hero, which usually ends with the hero winning because happy endings are kind of the norm. And so the overcoming the monster plot usually interacts in very obvious stages. First, the monster appears. This is usually accomplished by a fearsome monster appearing out of nowhere and causing an extraordinary amount of damage to either a city or human life, and announcing itself. It's when Grendel first appears and attacks the hall, killing everyone inside. It's when Vegeta lands on Earth and starts wreaking havoc in the city. It's a point where the monster is first revealed, and revealed to be a threat. Whether or not the monster is actually a monster, as is the case in many old stories where they're an intimidating and powerful figure, that makes it clear that this is not a natural and redeemable creature. It is something that is a force of nature and destruction that can't be redeemed. Second, we have the hero engages the monster. They hear about this threat and they realize the monster poses an extraordinary danger and take it upon themselves to defeat it. They start learning about the monster, figuring out where it lives, what it does, and how it works. Think of every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer to get an example of how this works. Third, the hero and the monster have an initial encounter. This is where they, for the first time, they're face to face and they realize that each one poses a threat to the other. The hero realizes that the monster is extremely dangerous, even more so than they originally thought. And the monster realizes that this hero is here to defeat it. They'll have the first encounter where one has a minor victory against the other. Either the hero pushes the monster back in its attempt to destroy another village, or the monster injures the hero as the hero tries to protect something. Fourth, the hero and the monster will have another encounter, usually after the stakes have been raised, whether a bigger city is being threatened or the monster is taken a hostage, and they have a final encounter, usually in the monster's lair. Think of Bilbo's encounter with Smaug. At any moment, the hero can be defeated by the monster. There's an incredible amount of risk and danger involved. And then finally, the monster is defeated. Usually how it goes down is the monster has an extraordinary advantage, is much more powerful than the hero could ever imagine. And with a mixture of luck and quick thinking, the hero finds an advantage and uses it to defeat the monster, saving the world from whatever threat the monster posed. In the ending, there is a sense that the monster being defeated is unarguably a good thing. The threat that the monster posed was so much greater than any possible chance that it had of being redeemed. These stories are usually structured to make sure that the monster is not seen as sympathetic or redeemable, but a force of nature that cannot be diverted, it can only be stopped. And so for most of these stories, destroying the monster is an unquestionably good act. Defeating Joker saves Gotham from his reign of terror. Defeating Smog saves Lake Town from the reign of terror. Defeating Grendel's mother saves the entire kingdom from her reign of terror. Everything works out for the best. Now, one thing I want to mention is when these plots are subverted. One of the most famous examples of an overcoming the monster plot not going as planned is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Frankenstein has all of the trappings of an overcoming the monster plot. In a misguided attempt to create life, Dr. Frankenstein creates this abomination unto nature, a hulking, powerful beast that stands and appears threatening. The monster is misshapen and necrotic and lumbers towards Dr. Frankenstein in his first moments of life. But unlike a normal monster, he doesn't attack Dr. Frankenstein. Instead, he holds a hand out in that attempt to establish communication, and Dr. Frankenstein runs in terror. The story continues in this vein where Dr. Frankenstein is convinced that this thing he's created is a monster, a terror to the world, and is going to destroy everything it comes in contact with. But its early days is the exact opposite of that. The monster shows itself to be peaceful and intelligent, and it learns to speak, it educates itself, it reads, and it finds a way to survive without destroying, without causing havoc. But when it tries to approach Dr. Frankenstein, Frankenstein completely refuses to acknowledge this creature, to acknowledge that there's a good inherent in him, and considers him a monster. And eventually the monster decides that if Frankenstein's going to see him as a monster, then he'll become that monster that Frankenstein so fears. And so the book Frankenstein rejects the idea that monsters need to be destroyed, that they're a terror upon the world, and instead posits that maybe a monster can be redeemed. Maybe there is a humanity that can be saved from even the most monstrous looking of beings. And as I said last time, the rules are much more interesting when they're broken. And so the overcoming the monster plot line is important to recognize, because not only is it one of the oldest forms of storytelling, it remains extremely popular today. This idea of a monster appearing that must be defeated is one that is not going away anytime soon. And so with that, we finished an overview of the first of these basic plots. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and join us next time when we explore the second of these basic plots, the Rags to Riches storyline. If you're in the Edmonton area, check out Jen Next and Zed Writers Meetup at Devaney's Irish Pub, Thursday, January 19th. We have an open mic and door prizes and a bunch of presentations from cool writers.